Let's go ahead and get started here. Thanks for everyone for being here today. We're going to talk a little bit about the FDH story, and specifically the story around FDH Electronics. My name is Ken Osso. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of FDH Aero, and our discussion today is themed Harnessing the Power of Integration to deliver supply chain and materials value to our customers and suppliers. So let's start with, as most presentations go, we'll have a panel discussion where our experts will talk about their perspectives, but we wanted to start with a video about FDH for those that aren't familiar with us. So let's go ahead and cue the video. Okay. So in the lead up to Farnborough, and for each of the 3 days, you know, with the news around the industry, even though we're 4 years following the global pandemic, the supply chain disruption and the impact to our OEMs, other manufacturers, tier 1s and tier 2s and MROs, has had a profound effect in terms of supply chain challenges. And so, you know, there's just a subset of many things that have been written about the supply chain industry. Deloitte mentioned in their 2024 A&D industry outlook published about 2 or 3 months ago, they mentioned the continued frailty and disruption of the global supply chain, which means that there's a prioritization in adaptability and agility today. Roland Berger just last month came out with an analysis around supply chain resilience, where they highlighted several product categories, including aerostructures, hardware, aero engines, as key product categories where there's profound challenges. And they mentioned a key to disruption is the unreliability of the supply chain caused by issues such as increased lead time and material availability. And then finally, Oliver Wyman in their Supply Chain and Manufacturing 2030 report, also published this year, mentioned that A&D companies are turning to the supply chain partners to enhance visibility and transparency throughout the supply chain network. So this context, you know, continues to be pervasive today, 4 years later, and this case study that we wanted to discuss today is around FDH Aero as one company in the industry that's making specific steps to address this need for the benefit of suppliers and customers. A quick introduction to FDH. We are a scaled, independent supply chain solutions partner. We are global with over 30 locations worldwide, 1,300 employees, revenues approaching $1 billion, and total inventory in excess of $500 million. Our company philosophy is designed to deliver, focusing on speed, reliability, and inventory availability. And today I wanted to discuss really our strategy for integration readiness, specifically for our electronics categories. FDH's history, has been one of significant growth and then growth through M&A, a lot of M&A activity. And so many of us are wearing pins on our lapels celebrating our 60th anniversary in 2024. We were established in 1964. But the timeline today is really one of recent growth, starting from a first acquisition in 2007 with a hardware business unit called Aircraft Fasteners International, and then 11 additional acquisitions since that time, the establishment of significant geographies in Europe and APAC region, and then recently, around the time when we established about $500 million in total sales, we started to focus on integration as our companies grew, became more scaled, and the opportunities increased for us to take advantage of our total inventory positions, and we had the need to start integrating our data structure and our ERPs so we could benefit our customers and our suppliers. And so you see that within this timeline are embedded 3 electronic focus distributors and supply chain partners. One here called BTC Electronics, the first of our electricals business units acquired in 2019. In 2022, the addition of Electro Enterprises based in Oklahoma City. And then last year, the addition of BJG Electronics. And with those 3 businesses, the formation of FDH Electronics. And so, as we established the 3rd acquisition, which was BJG, we knew that we had an opportunity to combine a world-class line card associated with the 3 businesses, as well as significant operational capability, manufacturing capability, and engineering capability, and with the scale of all 3, creating significant additional benefits, buffer stock, and then partnering capability with the largest OEMs. And so in April 2023, at the time that we acquired BJG, we announced to the industry our intention to create FDH Electronics. And dozens of our own staff and additional partners then rallied to create a project team to focus on the integration of our organization, meaningful work around the integration of our customer-facing teams, customer support, inside sales, account teams, and business development teams under one go-to-market integrated team. Our operations, procurement, product management, supply chain, demand planning teams combined to create an integrated back-end operations and supply chain and quality team. And then finally, from a technical standpoint, looking at our 3 ERP systems and then coming up with an approach to integrate all 3 businesses so that by the end, when we had FDH Electronics, we'd have one single end-to-end data structure and ERP capability. And today, we're proud to announce that we have combined the very best in the organization, the brands, the supplier procurement capability, and our operation into FDH Electronics. The rationale for integration essentially was in these 5 areas, including the ability for us to concentrate investment for the creation and the additional maturation of additional customer offerings, product solutions, supply chain solutions, broader line card expansions, and supplier partnerships, which includes value-added services, inventory management, vendor-managed inventory, kitting, and engineering services. We also, the combination of these 3 businesses enabled continued investment in increased customer support, which means the ability for us to combine the resources across 3 teams to more effectively respond to customer needs, the creation of integrated task forces, portals, and digital e-commerce channels. Third, our investment in advanced technical selling capabilities, which are around technical sales and product management capabilities. Fourth, deeper product specialization, and that has come through our data analytics investments, data science capabilities, and our part mastering, our combined and integrated part mastering. And then finally, from a procurement and inventory management standpoint, the maturation of a strategic sourcing capability, supplier engineering capability, and then an integrated end-to-end vendor management capability. This is, in a nutshell, the tangible capabilities that we feel have added a lot more depth and breadth to the FDH Electronics. An overview to FDH Electronics. The head office is in Oklahoma City, where our electro business was headquartered. But we have an additional 9 locations located worldwide. We service mostly the needs of our military and space customers, but also are deeply involved in OEM's commercial needs and some aftermarket needs, combining over 4,000 customers worldwide. In addition to our franchise and world-leading product line card and capabilities, we provide a whole host of value-added services, including connector assembly, wire and cable manufacturing, and electrical assembly. Our worldwide footprint is global, with over 30 locations across the world and over 20 locations where we hold, warehouse locations where we hold inventory. We have 2 global centers of excellence. Our corporate headquarters located in Los Angeles, California, with our largest warehouse, our California Center of Excellence. We've recently established our European Center of Excellence in Bremen, Germany, to support the growth and the needs of our European customers, and then a number of other warehouse and sales centers located around the world. From an electronic standpoint, our product offering is vast, and I'll frame it in terms of 4 capabilities. Number 1, electromechanical capabilities based out of Long Island and Oklahoma City. Secondly, wire and cable solutions customized to exact customer specifications, primarily out of our Valencia and Fort Worth locations. We have a whole host of harness management solutions based out of our Valencia Whitmore location. And then finally, a number of interconnect solutions based out of our Wake Forest, North Carolina, Oklahoma City, Millville, New Jersey, and Long Island locations. The combination of these 3 companies have enabled us to have a one-stop solution with a schematic including a number of connector and backshell solutions, wire and cable solutions, harness management solutions, and electromechanical solutions, all included within a broader engineering and design capability to customize any design to an OEM specification. And in addition to that, an integrated set of value-added operations where we can either drive a lot of these activities internally or through partners, depending upon need and complexity. And then at the point of delivery, the ability to deliver a number of transactional offerings in addition to customer value-added services, kitting, VMI, in-plant capabilities, consignment, and then bonded inventory. And then finally, wanted to mention our commitment to quality. Of course, very, very important. All of these previously mentioned capabilities delivered under a full range of industry and customer quality approvals, including ISO, AS9100, 9120, NADCAP, ITAR, and CMMC NIST approvals. All this has enabled us to launch FDH Electronics and take advantage of our global reach and size on a combined basis, simplify purchasing, and then take advantage of our industry-leading inventory profile. So in conclusion, the combination of our underlying capabilities at BTC, Electro, and BJG Electronics, accelerated by our investment in teams, technology, and inventory from FDH Aero, have enabled us to have this unified and global electronic solutions provider. And with the recent completion of FDH Electronics integration, we're now turning our attention to our hardware footprint and the capabilities included within the 6 historical FDH hardware-focused business units. We've already integrated 2 of those business units and are well on our way towards the integration of the other hardware business units towards the creation of a combined hardware, FDH hardware entity, which will enable us to deliver similar solutions, end-to-end capabilities for our customers in Class C hardware and fasteners. So I want to introduce Ian Locke, who's our Executive Vice President of Sales for FDH Electronics. Elijah Dobrusin, the Vice President of Sales and Marketing for Leach. Fred Short, EVP of Global Sales at FDH. And then Chad Galentine, who's our Vice President of our OEM division at FDH. Thank you, panelists, for participating. So a few questions to start us off, and I guess I'll start with you, Ian. Given your experience in sales and your intimacy with the customers, from a customer standpoint, how have they received our ambition to integrate at FDH? What benefits have they discussed with you? What have been some of the challenges that you've needed to work through with them?
Great. Well, Ken, thanks, and thanks everyone for being here and hearing our story around FDH and integration. When we talk about the customer experience from my perspective, when we began to go down this path of integrating the 3 companies, really our focus was to make sure that for our customers, they were going to really achieve certain really important things. And I look at it kind of at a couple of high-level buckets. The first one is having access. And what I mean by that is that our sales organization, over 40 people around the world, can immediately look at our inventory, status items wherever they are. So somebody in our UK office can pull up an item, they can look and see where it is in production in our Oklahoma facility. Somebody can certainly be sitting in our Asia office and look up and understand exactly where something is in New York, get the paperwork, all of that. So really that access, that speed to deploy and satisfy a customer requirement, incredibly important. The other piece that I thought was really important for our customers is the automatic breadth that they get. So by combining these 3 organizations and having this visibility inventory, are what you term as our line card, our product availability expanded dramatically. So now where each one of these 3 companies we talked about before, BTC, BJG, and Electro, had certain specialties in terms of products, all that now, our products and services are aligned across the board, so we can provide all that to our customer. And you hear these things like customers wanting to have a reduced supplier base, one-stop shop. Those are certainly things that really tick the box with them from a practical standpoint. And the other piece, by having all this inventory in one bucket, today our inventory probably close to $170 million in the electronics side. That really drives, again, immediate availability, probably the largest pool of electronics-focused inventory in the aerospace defense industry. It really gives, again, a great customer experience overall, and I really credit to our teams for deploying rapidly and making this happen. And I can tell you, feedback initially, Ken, from our customers has all been truly positive. They're seeing more, they're getting rapid responses, they have access to a much broader set of services and inventory. So it's really been successful.
Thanks, Ian. And it's been 15 months since BJG was acquired and the announcement in terms of the creation of FDH Electronics. Have there been any customer challenges along the way that you'd like to discuss and as lessons learned?
Yeah, I think, Ken, for sure there was a few things that maybe, as you say, lessons learned. I'd say things that didn't go wrong, but things maybe we could have done a little better. As we integrated the organizations, there was a lot of questions around quality management systems, a lot of questions around legal entity changes. So those type of things, again, I think we did a good job about assimilating that. So when you go to a customer and you say 3 organizations are going to become one, they have a lot of questions. That was some heavy lifting, and I think we've done all the right things, but maybe we could have done a little quicker.
A little quicker?
Yeah.
All right. We'll include those lessons learned for our hardware businesses. Okay. A question for you, Elijah. one of our most important suppliers, from Leach, and one, where we worked with you and other suppliers to drive a significant amount of change and opportunity. But from your perspective, maybe you could describe, your experience, as a leading supplier in the industry and for FDH, how you viewed this experience, and from an integrated standpoint, how you work with now the combined, three businesses into one.
Thanks, Ken. Yeah, great question. Maybe give a little bit of background so you and the audience can really understand where we're coming from. So Leach, we design and manufacture relays and contactors, primarily for aerospace, really mission critical, flight critical applications. 100-year-old company, and so obviously really crucial parts we produce, and we need to get those parts to the market and have those parts available when they're needed. So we actually, our history goes a little bit, we were working with BJG originally, a few years ago, so Ian and I have worked very closely together, and it was great. We selected BJG to be one of our very few distribution partners because of their knowledge in the market, their expertise. They had a real depth and understanding of the electronics market in the industry, and that was a few years ago, and then BJG got acquired from FDH, so obviously we were like, okay, what does that mean moving forward? What does that look like for us moving forward? And then what we've seen is that knowledge depth has gotten even better, right? They brought on Electro and other partners that had even more electronics understanding. So we got a deeper understanding of the industry, more breadth, more connection across the industry. As Ian mentioned, increased inventory, because before it was a relatively small company, so now there's really the ability to have more inventory. And I think what we're finding today is that there isn't a customer out there that FDH doesn't have a connection to, which is really outstanding for us, because we're a relatively small organization, and it was great to be able to really harness that power and see that connection with FDH.
And I'll just add, the partnership we've had with Leach now as FDH, has really grown. Ultimately, in terms of servicing our customers, has really blossomed to the point now where we have multiple dedicated people to support the relationship, both at FDH in terms of making it flow to the customer and the endpoint, as well as coordinating the things with Leach in terms of proper production buckets, all those type of things. Really having a collaborative relationship to make it work and really be a true partner with our supplier. So thank you.
Yeah, your dedicated product line folks are outstanding. I think some of the best in the industry. So.
Very good. Another question I'd like to ask our panelists, and maybe this time I'll direct it to Chad Galentine. Integration is very, very complex, and it involves hundreds of employees within the organizations. And so I'd love to have you share a perspective on what it means ultimately to the company and to the people within the companies.
Thanks, Ken. I think on the integration side, it allowed us to actually play bigger and more globally in the space we occupy. I mean, you think about the opportunity to streamline your operations, making yourself more agile, more efficient in the industry. You think about the opportunity to adopt from the other business units as you're integrating, and people leading those organizations, you're adopting these best practices that ultimately help you address the market challenges. Certainly there are numerous market challenges out there now, but it gives you the best practices. You adopt those best practices to be more efficient and then be more capable to address the challenges of the market. And then from like an external standpoint, specifically maybe focused on the customer, you're looking at a broader depth of product. You're looking at more product offerings, services as well. And then when you think about that, you're also able to give the customer a single point of contact, one place where, as Ian mentioned earlier, you're talking about a one-stop shop that we can offer all this broader and deeper product line as well as the services. And ultimately, that allows us to help compete more effectively globally, and from a vendor standpoint as well too, right? It provides that single point of contact and allows us to be a more efficient partner as we go to market on a global scale.
Very good. A question for you, Fred, and you've been in the industry for a long time. You've been a part of very large organizations, very small organizations, and I ask you this because the identity for FDH is one where we have very intimate relationships. We've been very proud of being very local and intimate, with our customers. As FDH has gotten larger and more global, how do you achieve scale and global reach while at the same time, being local and intimate and being aware of the needs of specific customers?
Yes, can everybody hear? Yeah. So if I look back at the time I joined FDH, we were very deliberate with our strategic plan well before the acquisitions that Ken and the team have talked about. We knew that being global was one of our strategic objectives, but we knew that to enable us to do that, we needed to harness the local aspect of every one of our offices and business units that we would acquire. So, way back when, I would say 2018, when we developed this plan, we had the option to look at our businesses and buy companies and keep them totally separate. We didn't do that. We wanted to make sure that all our businesses were connected in some way, that they talk to each other. And as we started to develop our operational facilities, which Ken talked about in the initial entry today, we had central facilities located that we were very efficient in how we receive and distribute parts, but also recognized that the local offices needed the ability to continue the entrepreneurial spirit that they'd shown the industry and showed us before we acquired them. So although we've got some corporate functions that we support our businesses with, that spirit and that commercial acumen for the frontline salespeople remains local. And we think that's very important because our customers are all over the world. And they don't necessarily want to be talking to somebody in a completely different time zone. So that's why we set our strategy to place people very close to our key customers around the world to support the supply chain.
I think I'd add to that a little bit. Maybe what Ian said is you're also putting systems in place that help you manage a larger organization globally, but you're also being able to push that data, that information down to the point of contact at the customer, right, at a very regionalized level, but they still have access to that broader global network. That's a very powerful tool, right, on the boots on the ground and interfacing with the customer.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I was just going to throw on to this that, even though we are locally able to deal with our customers, as we all know, this is a global industry. So all our major OEM customers that we have major support contracts with, although we have that kind of corporate engagement with them, they absolutely have facilities deployed around the world that require that hands-on local support. And I think that's very much what we've been able to do as an organization really quickly, and we're well down on the path to even doing that even better as we consolidate on one ERP system.
Yeah, it's just drawing on all the resources of the organization to support that customer base. And that's the power of this piece, the power of the integration.
Very good, thank you. Maybe one last question for all the panelists to provide a perspective around just beyond FDH, what's happening in the industry. And so would love to ask the panelists what your personal views are in terms of what you see as the next big challenges in the industry, in A&D and supply chain.
Sure. Yeah, I think it's a really interesting time for the market. I mean, I think we've all gone through COVID, and there were immense challenges with rates, with the supply chain, and I think we all sort of thought, oh, okay, we're out of COVID, everything is good, but we're definitely not seeing that today. I think the challenges that the OEMs are having with their building of aircraft is flowing down to all different levels. So we're finding that today we're trying to deliver product to one OEM who probably doesn't need the parts. Another OEM is screaming for the parts. It's a really challenging situation that we have going on. And I think although we've improved our supply chain significantly, we feel like we're now sort of playing whack-a-mole. And I actually heard that from one of the OEMs today, where our situation is okay, we're delivering parts, but they are having issues still come up every day, and they're still really, really challenged. So I think it's going to be a difficult period moving forward. And I think, situations like this where you guys with FDH is providing a stocking solution is really critical, right? I think about our products. We have 3,000 active part numbers. It's really hard for us. We cannot build 3,000 active part numbers at any given day, so we need to have stocking solutions out there. So that's one thing it's been interesting for us to sort of think about how do we handle this moving forward, and we see a lot of irregularity where a part won't have been ordered for years and all of a sudden it pops up. And so having partnerships like this with FDH is really critical. So I think it's improving, but I think the challenge is still going to be with us for a while.
I'll just say, one of the things I see out there, Ken, right now, we went to a pre-COVID lead time pricing stability environment, in general, and especially I'll speak a little bit more for electronics, where we did have low lead times and price stability for many years. Since COVID, yes, there's been gradually lessening inflation, but it's still there. So there's still major concerns about that with our customers wanting longer term pricing and the ability to balance that with what's happening with various commodities. And in addition, we're looking at what we see as a longer term variability from the demand curve at our customers as they're changing design. The movement today for lighter, faster aircraft is absolutely out there. They're pushing us in all sorts of areas from a technology perspective, so that's creating dynamics in the industry as well, and we're going to have to adapt to that by offering the right products that service the customer's needs.
I'd like to add a few things to that. We're all gathered here, this major aerospace event, and everybody's talking about business. We read publications. I don't think there's one publication hasn't mentioned those supply chain challenges that we're seeing today. That's probably going to continue for some time, but looking at and reflecting on some of the meetings, the key meetings we've had with our suppliers during this show, I think there is a light at the end of the tunnel in terms of how our manufacturers are looking at their capacity constraints, getting a handle on their raw material commitments, and committing to dates and recovery plans that are helping our customers. I think we're very fortunate at FDH that the business model that we employ on both the hardware business and the electronics business requires significant investments in inventory, which actually helps the manufacturing base. So we work very hard with our manufacturers to ensure that they're making the parts that we critically need, not just the parts that we've ordered with them. And we're utilizing the inventory we've got, ensuring that our key customers, the customers who are contracting with us, we're buffering them from the problems of the supply chain in the industry. That will continue for some time, but I think there's some positive messages coming from our suppliers about the recovery. So I'm very hopeful that in the coming 3 to 8 months, we're going to see some recovery from them.
Maybe a little different perspective here, but I think about, particularly in light of recent events, I think cybersecurity is one of those things that we all need to be very aware of, right? The most recent issue being, a relatively friendly event, right? But it wreaked havoc on the transportation industry. And you think about what that possibly could do then to the supply chain industry as well, too, right? If it is more malicious, it has more malicious intent than an upgrade to CrowdStrike, right? So cybersecurity is something that everybody in this room, everybody in this building needs to be very specific care of and be very cautious about going forward. It's going to be an issue.
Maybe just one last group question before I open up the floor to questions from the audience. I was talking to a customer that was concerned about the access to raw material and the lead time associated with raw material, and then the lead time associated with converting that raw material into solutions. And this particular customer was a hardware customer, but I think this is still a challenge, right, across other product commodities, including electronic and C&E materials. But how does a supply chain solutions provider customer?
Yeah, I think that's more in line with what I just talked about, Ken, that our systems, our investment philosophy really help our customers not feel the burden of this supply chain challenge. If I look at some of our customers who have VMI point of view systems in place, they're really not seeing the effects of that raw material problem you talked about. on the vast majority of the parts. We're still seeing challenges, obviously, but if the customer's been proactive and contracted with their key suppliers, then you're seeing that relief from that situation until it corrects itself. And I know that the big OEMs, whether it be Airbus or Boeing, are working extremely hard with the raw material suppliers to ensure a seamless supply chain of the raw material throughout the supply chain. So, and they influenced our business tremendously.
I'll just say on the electronics side of the business, one thing we've been very lucky to do with our new system integration is that we can really do a lot more planning and staging of material to support broad-based usage. So we are investing in material based on analytics around customer demand, industry demand, and that makes a big difference in terms of basically buffering that issue that our end customers could see if they're not working with the right partner.
Very good. Well, thank you, panelists, for this initial set of questions. I'd like to open it up now to the audience. Do you have any questions for any of our panelist members? We have a roving mic if you want to speak into a microphone, or you can speak loudly. Okay, we have first question here.
Do I need to start? Hello? Yeah. My name is RP. I'm from India. We are seeing a lot of online buying these days, right? So I think Electro is, our FDH Aero is already on the web, where we can order parts online. And even Aerospheres, I guess, we can order parts online. So are we also planning to do the same for hardware? And the other question was, again, what are the challenges we are facing that people are ordering parts online, and is it good for us, or is there any impact on our business?
Oh, so the question is around the opportunities to order parts through e-commerce, through e-commerce portals, and what are the opportunities and the challenges associated with that?
I mean, so I'll take it from the electronics perspective, and we're very lucky that today we do have an active e-commerce platform today. So that certainly allows our customers not only just to look for inventory and price and place orders, but they can status orders. They can do a lot of other things in terms of what I'll call self-serve support. So that's very important, and we'll continue to build on that platform. And I think certainly that's part of the strategy for the overall business, is to have that online presence where customers can I'll term it self-serve. It's not about just getting pricing. It's about doing a bunch of different things on there, pulling drawings, statusing orders where they are, getting a way bill, all those type of things that our customers need to do in that self-serve world that we all live in today.
Today in our business, we have our chemical business, which offers quite a full line online facility, e-commerce platform that customers can self-serve, and that works really well for that product category. Our hardware businesses are less developed, although we do have an online portal with one of our earlier acquisitions with aircraft fasteners, which allows actually other distributors to get access to the inventory levels at a set pricing level. The subject that you bring up, though, is very important for FDH as we come together, particularly on the hardware side, and it's an active project at the moment to look at all the product categories we got within our inventory and to categorize product by velocity in terms of the industry needs, and we'll be setting up some sort of online presence for those products in the near future.
Yeah, that's just another part of the lessons learned out of integration, is using the best practices that the EP group has and replicating those on the hardware side to service the customer.
Yeah, and if I could add to that, I think one of the things that's really critical that we're seeing is that customers can access products quickly when they need it, because we see customers going to gray market or alternative just to find parts, and then they come to us and they're like, hey, we got this part, and we're like, we don't know anything about this part. I can't, so then it becomes really problematic because they need the part urgently because they have an AOG or whatever situation. So they're just like, hey, we need to get a part, but that part has to be real, it has to be safe, right? So I think that's critical that the industry moves towards faster e-commerce so that they can support the market, so that we sort of eliminate some of these higher risk situations that we've seen with customers, because that'd be the worst situation, right? If we get a counterfeit part or gray market part that ends up not working on an aircraft. So.
Good perspective, thank you. Any additional questions?
I mean, Ken, one thing that we didn't touch on, and I think it's important, maybe all of us can talk on this real quickly, is around, how the group collaborates. We're talking today about, 3 business entities that you described before in terms of hardware, electronics, and aftermarket, but we very much have an overlap and a level of collaboration as we go to market. So whether that's leveraging legal presence and operations in various countries as we deploy globally, whether that's looking and storing inventory at each other's facilities, there are a lot of different elements. And I don't know, we talk about this all the time, how we use each other. So we want to keep that product expertise at the customer level, absolutely. At the same time, we want to leverage the services and really the strength of FDH on a global basis. So
Ian, it's a fantastic point. As these businesses have came together, Ian's got a wealth of experience in his field and customer relationships. Chad, who handles the hardware business for FDH, and myself, coupled with the aftermarket leaders, we do talk to each other about leveraging relationships, leveraging contacts, so that we can actually, cross-sell, if you like, from our businesses. Hardware have made some tremendous strides in some of the customers that Ian and the electronics group is really strong at, and vice versa, where we've transacted electronic products to typically traditional hardware customers for FDH. I may add that we've got a regularly quarterly and annual meeting with the heads of each of our business units in terms of electronics, hardware, chemicals, and aftermarket, where we come together and we share our knowledge and experience with each other and devise strategic plans, what I would call for our top key customers around the globe.
Just going to add on to that, ultimately, this integration and the collaboration that comes out of it just streamlines that supply chain for the customer, makes it easier to do business with us, and helping them perform better in their industry and deliver the parts and products that they need to.
Ultimately, where necessary, we will at times have one entity supplying the whole range of products, right? So we get great examples of certain customers in certain geographies where we're doing that today, where it makes sense. So, we've got this product specialty focus, but absolutely the ability to provide a complete A to Z kind of consumable product range to the customer, whether it's in-house stores, in-house people, to provide all of that. So I think we can offer the kind of focus of an independent process to the customer, or this kind of one-stop shop if that's really what they need.
I think that the mix of those products really strengthens our position. Within FDH, we're obsessed with balance of our business, whether it be the product categories that we support, or whether it be the geographical region, or whether it's commercial or military, whether it's OEM or aftermarket. And that sort of balance gives us strength through circumstances that happen in the world, COVID being probably the most recent time where we managed to maintain our business when the whole industry was crippled. We continued to grow through COVID, and that was because our strong defense business helped us get through that, and our geographical expansion in Asia Pacific helped us grow through that period of time and maintain employment for all our people.
I've got a question I'd like to ask the panelists as well. In my conversations this week, and in recent months, and there's been a lot of discussion about the role of technology, data analytics, and the role of AI to improve our capabilities. And so would love to have the panelists' perspectives in terms of how you see the applications within the organization on how technology and big data capabilities are supporting the business.
Ken, I'll take, we have at FDH already deployed use of some AI tools, primarily around inventory. So it's really doing analytics around, general customer usage, industry usage, and then driving that into the appropriate min-max, if you will, reserve levels. So that's one element that we've used it on. The other, which I hope everyone is got some experience with what these tools can do for you, but we are now using it to do initial review of purchase orders and contracts. So it'll absolutely, you can load it in, it'll analyze it at a high level and give you a summary report as an example. So I think it's early days today for us in AI, but we are absolutely using the tools, and I think like many companies, over the next 12 months, you'll see a rapid deployment of AI tools in a lot of different areas of our business.
Ian's right. We're in the early stages of AI in particular, but the data analytics side of things that you mentioned, Ken, that's been real eye-opener for us as we've acquired businesses and put resources in place and technology to analyze transactions from all those businesses. So much so that the businesses that we acquired really didn't understand some of the products that they've been moving at increased frequency. So we've gotten a real rich level of data from that we're sharing back with the sales teams and the operations teams to enhance and improve efficiencies within the organization.
Yeah, and if I think about it from a manufacturer's perspective, we create an enormous amount of data when we produce the part, and then that part is sold to the OEM. They collect a bunch of data, and then that part is in the service. You guys have data. We have all these big buckets of data, and they're not interconnected currently. And I think we're in a potential where we look at big data, we look at blockchain technology. There's a lot of opportunity for us to bring this data together to service the market a lot better than we are today. Because I think right now we all have sort of our own bits of data, and it's not integrated, it's not working together. So I think we could envision a future where that would be much, much better, and we have much better signals coming from the operators, coming from the market to help us, deliver product more efficiently and deliver what the customers need, because I think there's still the big gap today.
Yeah, really good perspectives. One thing that I might add personally is around, the FDH story and its own data analytics journey. And I think the power of integration and combining the data into one data repository, one single data repository supported by BI layers, and then ultimately with into one ERP, enabled the establishment of an integrated SIOP capability, an integrated demand plan and supplier plan to understand what are the runners, repeaters, strangers in inventory, what are those things that should frankly be replenished, and so you never run out of them despite the presence of an active customer sales order or not, and a significant set of enhanced purchasing capabilities around that. And then also with further scale and with integration, the insourcing of a data science and analytics capability. So initially, FDH was leveraging the power of partners who had this kind of capability to initially organize the data, and then more recently, 18 months ago, the development of an insourced capability, which has led to additional insight around procurement, productivity and effectiveness, vendor productivity and effectiveness, customer insight in terms of automated insight in terms of where their orders are and the status of their orders, and being able to share that, deploy that with supply chain partners and with customers on a proactive basis. So more and more powerful capabilities through the integration of data.